this is the, if you look, it's the SOH CAH TOA. So SOH CAH TOA. This is a foldable that we're going to do to help you guys remember all of this stuff. Hopefully you learned from the video the other day, but this is going to put it all in one place. So if you just notice, I started with this side facing me, and then I folded along this line right here. So I folded that back. The reason that we call it SAW is, remember this S stands for sine, and sine is equal to, or sine of the angle. You'll typically see, there's not one on this side, but it's over here. See this little circle with the line across it? That's actually called theta. So it's sine of theta. It's just like using x for a side or an unknown. Theta is just an angle. So sine of theta is equal to the opposite. So opposite. So the side opposite over the hypotenuse. So sine of opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The C is for cosine. Oops, cosine. If you look on a calculator, it's actually written as cos. So it's cosine of theta is equal to, notice, A over H. That's adjacent. Sorry, I'm going to use a different color. I've already used blue, purple, pink. Let's use green. Hopefully that green shows up. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Is adjacent over hypotenuse. So notice the H, the H, the H, and the H. And then TOA is, T is for tangent. On a calculator it's written as tan. So tangent of the angle theta is equal to O over A, so TOA. The O stands for opposite over adjacent. So A. So anytime, if you just write this out, I always just write it across the top of my paper. SAW CAH TOA. SOH CAH TOA. That was one of the weirdest things to me whenever I first learned it in high school, was why they kept saying that. But it's just one of those things that teachers try to come up with to help you guys memorize. So, and you can see it's written here as well. So I'm going to just write O over H. This one is A over H. And you could write it all out if you want, but I don't want this video to get too long on you guys. So it's SAW CAH TOA. And then we'll talk about this part in the next video that we do. Okay, so if we're talking about angle theta, so if this is theta up here, to write sine of that, you would have to look at the side opposite. So notice this side over here is opposite. And then this is the hypotenuse. Okay, if we're talking about this angle, so notice these triangles are set up the same way. This angle, if we're saying this one is theta, this one over here would be opposite. And then the diagonal, or the one across from the 90 degree, is always the hypotenuse. Okay, if we're doing cosine, you would do the side adjacent. So this angle is still theta. So if we're looking for adjacent, notice this is the 90 degree right here. So we know that has to be the hypotenuse. And then this one would have to be the adjacent, because it's the one that's touching the angle side of theta. Okay? Now if this is theta, this one down here is touching. Remember the word adjacent means touching. So this is adjacent. And then this is the hypotenuse. Okay? And then if we're looking at tangent, this is our angle theta. So the side opposite over the side that is adjacent. So we haven't really talked about like why you set them up that way. The reason we do that, and again I'm just still writing out, so this is still the opposite. Oops, that E should have been down below. That's all right. And then this one would be adjacent. So the reason we do this is to help us find missing angles and missing sides. So whenever we are, so we're going to do this middle section back here on the back. So if you look, this is for finding missing sides. So we're talking about this angle right here. So if I'm saying that I'm looking for angle, or not angle, if I'm looking for side X in reference to this angle, notice that over there is the opposite, so I'm going to say O, and then the 11 is across from the 90, so that's the H. So then what you need to think about is which one uses opposite and hypotenuse. So that's why we say SOH CAH TOA. So if you think about SOH CAH TOA, the one that uses opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to say sine of 37 is equal to, so just like we did here, so it's sine of the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite, we don't know, that's X, over the hypotenuse is 11. So sine of 37 is equal to X over 11, or X divided by 11. Now, hopefully you guys have been doing this stuff, but I'm still going to like review it real quick. So in order to do this, you need to do over 1, and we're going to cross multiply. So I put this over 1 so that we could cross multiply. So then it would be sine of 37 times 11, so that's a times, is equal to X times 1, which is just X. Now, your calculator will do this for you. There is just a step that we always have to do. So you have to hit the button that says mode, and notice up at the top right there it says radian and degree. Since we are talking about sine, cosine, and tangent, and it's in degrees, it's 37 degrees, we need to put degree. When you get into pre-calculus and calculus, or if you choose to take those classes, you'll figure out what radians is. But for now, we're just going to remember that you need to change this to degree mode. So you hit mode, and then you move over to degree. Okay? So then now, all we have to do is say sine. So notice this button right here is sine. You're going to type the angle measure. So notice it always starts with a parentheses. You have to remember to close the parentheses and then do times 11. Okay? and so it's so x is equal to 6.61, and I'm 19, sorry. I want to round it to 1 decimal place, so if I look at the 6, that 1 makes the 6 stay the same. So my x would be approximately 6.6 centimeters, because that uses centimeters. So that would be my value. Now remember, thinking about triangles, this number cannot be bigger than your hypotenuse. So if I would have accidentally divided these backwards, I would have realized that, or I would have gotten a number larger than 11, and I would have had to go back and fix it because the side or the legs cannot be larger than the hypotenuse. Okay, let's do the next one. So again, we're looking at this angle measure right here. We're looking for x, which is that leg. That's the adjacent leg. And then this over here is across from the 90, so that's the hypotenuse. Well, if you figured out that this foldable tells you what to use, then you can look at it, but you're not going to always be in this order. So this one has AH, so it's not SAW, it's CAH, because AH. So I'm going to set it up using cosine. SAW, CAH, AH, so adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to say cosine, give the angle measure, so 50 degrees, equals adjacent over hypotenuse, so it would have to be x over 35. Again, we're going to put it over 1 and then cross multiply. So it would be cosine of 50 degrees times 35. Don't forget we have to put those parentheses. Sorry, my computer logged out. Is equal to x. I'm going to make sure that my calculator is still in degree mode. It won't go out of it unless you clear your calculator. So it's in degree mode. So now I'm going to hit the cosine button, and I'm going to do 50 times 35. So x is equal to 22.497. I want to look at this 4 and look at that 9. That 9 is larger than 5. Sorry, that looks like a weird 2. That 9 is larger than 5, so that 4 rounds up. So it'd be x is approximately 22.5. Okay, we're only going to do one more example for now. So then we're going to look at this, and we're going to say, okay, we're looking at this angle. I'm talking about the side opposite and the side adjacent. Notice it's not the hypotenuse, it's the side adjacent. So I know that it has to be tangent, TOA, O-A. So it would be tangent of the angle measure, so 58 degrees, equals opposite over adjacent. So this one is sometimes, you always know if you use hypotenuse, hypotenuse is on bottom, but this one is always a little bit confusing, so you have to do opposite over adjacent. So it would be x over 36. Again, we're going to cross multiply, so put it over 1, cross multiply. So it'd be tangent of 58 is equal, oh, sorry, I forgot to multiply. Tangent of 58 times 36 equals x. So I'm going to now hit the tangent button. The angle measure is 58 times 36. So my equation is x equals, or is approximately 57 point, that 1 makes the 6 stay the same, so I'm just going to put 0.6. Okay, so that is how to find missing sides using sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay? And then we will do the other part in our next video that we will do.